RPL has many of its drivers from the UK area. However, something we don't talk about a whole lot is the fact that we have a decent bit of drivers from the Netherlands area. That's where we're racing today. Welcome along to round number 2 of the Formula Endurance Series in RPL. Last week, it was Be Good who won for McLaren, and there were multiple different teams in contention for a podium during that race in Silverstone. It's time to see who can shine, as there is a short qualifying session and 72 laps ahead of the drivers. Chat, welcome along. We're glad to have you here for one final time in the year 2023. Last time racing before the holiday season. We'll have 2 weeks of off time during that area. However, I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and alongside me tonight is Zatcy, and we're happy to have you all back for the action once again. Zatcy, glad to have you here. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm good. I mean, like you said, there are a fair share of Dutch drivers racing at Zandvoort. Also a Dutch commentator now, or co-commentator, so yeah, I think it suits quite well at the race.
Yeah, it should be fun to have you here. We have a lot of Dutch drivers in their home race. You're a Dutch driver yourself, I believe. So here is the list of Dutch drivers we have on tonight's grid. We have T.S. Korsman, who has got a podium in this race before in RPL F1. He will not be any more, I guess, held back to do it again. Grandpa is running his home race as well. In fact, you were going to mention as well that, I mean, obviously you know him in real life, Zatcy, but what's the one thing that you were going to mention about him that's so special with this track to him? Not only is it his home race, but what's the one other thing?
I mean, he has driven here in real life, not like that quickly. I mean, he was probably about 11 years old, and he was in a go-kart at around the track, the actual track. It was the old layout still. One thing I will mention is, surprisingly, he didn't even like the track. So yeah, that's quite funny. I mean, obviously, once he'll be a bit older, he'll look back and be like, yeah, cool to drive there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that's about it
We'll see what he can do.
for the drivers in their home race tonight. If Be Good, Lennon, or Zakaria end up joining, I know Zakaria was supposed to be in the lineup.
Be Good Dutch?
Yeah, Be Good is Dutch, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I believe so. That's what it showed. So, yeah. I don't know. Some drivers like to lie about nationalities, we know. But, yeah. Zakaria was supposed to show up. Be Good was one of them as well. Zakaria was in the lineup. Backed out last minute. Well, not last minute, but last night, I could say. And so it's left us down to 2 Dutch drivers and 1 Dutch commentator for tonight, with that being said. Let's go over, before any more headlines, let's go over our standings ahead of tonight's race. So we have Be Good leading the Formula Endurance Championship, 26 points to his name after winning last week for McLaren. Lennon was second last week. He was one of the ones also promoted on post-race penalties from Scyther and from Grandpa. So P2 in the championship for Lennon, and P2 in that race. P3 for Owen, 15 points to his name. A podium for Aston Martin. That's quite nice for them. They did need that after their struggles in all tiers as of recent. So constructors, basically the same, except for the one big difference being Mercedes is P3, tied with Ferrari, and the one team who does not have any points to their name is AlphaTauri. So, for those of you joining in and wondering where we're going to be once 2024 hits, here is where we'll be. So for Tier 2, we'll be in Japan, and once we start off the new year. Then for F1, it will be Azerbaijan, and then Formula Endurance, it will be Portimao. But we got to give you action for one final time this year. Couple things to mention in terms of full-time seats that have changed ahead of tonight's race. Alex Baer terminated his contract for Formula Endurance. Viare Yano, who's not in for tonight currently, is full-time for Alfa Romeo. Jack Miles should be coming in mid-qualifying. Minico terminated his full-time contract here as well, leaving Gecko to go full-time for Ferrari, and Mythic full-time at Haas. Also, Be Good full-time at Alpine. That was last weekend, prior to the race, I believe. but he's not here tonight. So we'll see what happens with 72 laps at this circuit, and we'll see what happens ahead of qualifying for tonight for our drivers.
It's only short qualifying, right?
It's on short for Formula Endurance.
Yeah. First one out is Grandpa.
Yes, that is true. So, Homero gonna give us some action tonight. Looks like we're on the circuit. As Zatcy mentioned, he's driven the circuit in real life, but not under the reconfigured version. So let's find out what he can do.
Yeah. I mean, he has shown that he's quite quick, and he's improved a lot. Still, of course, some things he can improve on. You know, consistency, getting the maximum out of the car is still an important thing for him to, get control of. And of course, that will come because I just think it's not that difficult to teach. And I mean, speed is difficult to teach, but it's not difficult to really get that maximum out of the car to teach that. It just comes along with racing, to be honest.
Yeah, you got a fair point there. He took pole position last week, became the first driver to sit on pole for Formula Endurance. Was very nice to see. And we'll see what he can do for Red Bull this time around. Final bank corner, final corner. Ends up having DRS this time through it. And that's the one difference in this game cycle compared to previous ones. The fake TB tonight is serving a qualifying ban. Going to start at the back of the grid for a second day in a row. He got a podium yesterday in RPL F1. We'll see what he can do this time around. But Grandpa, the runner-up in the Season 10 Tier 2 title race, is on a lap now. Here he comes through the bank section. You can take so many lines through this area. And now heading to the ending bits of Sector 1. This side-to-side section where you want to be on that white line, 23.9. 6th gear right here, just about flat out. You let off a little bit here toward the inside curb, just absolute balls to the walls. Your lap is gonna have to be, you have to be on the limit. He's got a car in front of him. It's an Aston Martin, it's an Alfa Romeo. The Aston almost getting in the way, the Alfa pulling off to the side, and now DRS applied to come to the sector split. The final sector, he's got a couple more corners remaining with a 47.6 set for him. And now, Ferrari in the way a little bit. Might be a little bit of a distraction, but should be some slipstream for him. Might gain him a couple thousands, but in the meantime, here he comes to the line. What is Grandpa going to set to be our benchmark? It is an 8.7 in this session.
I believe that's quite quick.
I would say too, for a benchmark from what we've heard. Red Fire Tiger, who's got a podium at the circuit before in RPL F1. In fact, in terms of his total all-time, 4 F1 podiums. So here he comes for Alfa Romeo through the first sector. Grandpa was in the 23s. Red Fire in the 24s. Clips a bit of the grass on the entrance. Toward the inside curb. Not hogging it though. Now clips that inside curb.
Can I get quicker than Grandpa?
Yeah. Want to be careful doing that on that inside curb, by the way. We'll see what happens. As here he comes, Red Fire. Through the middle sector now. DRS applied. We'll switch to someone about to start a lap here soon. As Red Fire comes through for 48.6. It's not the best of sectors set by Red Fire. He's got to find time. Nando's set laps. Shanghai has set laps. Gecko second fastest. You mentioned him briefly. Now more cars come across the line. And here comes Red Fire. Final bank corner. This is definitely a famous corner in terms of RPL. And Cam puts it on provisional pole for now. Red Fire is P6. Cam took pole here in RPL F1 Season 9, and he did it in that same car too.
See what Stenner can do in the first sector. He's a bit off. 3 tenths down on or up on.
There he is.
Okay. Stenner's off.
A little bit wide, a little bit too wide, and Stenner is kicking up some kitty litter after that one. That is not good from him in terms of going a little bit too wide there. Your mention his lap. someone who just started a lap right after him was Dragon Dude, who is the academy teammate of his for tonight, making his second RPL start. Finished okay last week considering AlphaTauri standards, P12 to end the race last week. Kept his car clean. That's all you could really ask for in a 100% race in a backmarker car. But here he comes to the second sector, and now that chicane with one banked corner to go. Inside curb, he's using tons of it. DRS applied. And here we come to the line. It looks like this lap was one he backed off on because he's draining all the battery now. But we'll see what he has. We'll see what he has in store later on. So, I mean, what do you look at in terms of this track, Zatcy, in terms of places to overtake? It's not really many places you can invalidate as a driver. However, there are quite a few places you can end up losing traction, crashing, or overtaking your competitors. Where is that for you, in your opinion?
I think the Tarzan corner, turn 1, is a good place to overtake. Also, if you're close enough alongside the banking corner, the hairpin, and even if you're close enough, the Rob Slotenmaker corner, that's the first sector. If you go on board it haunted, I can tell you some points. So if you're close enough alongside here and you put your overtake on, you actually make a move into Schijfvlak, which is the corner he's coming up to now. But you need to be close enough and quick enough. This corner is impossible to overtake. This one is possible, but obviously you'll end up losing the next corner, because the next corner is a flowing inside corner. Then here's another DRS zone, which you could really use to overtake in the chicane. It's a great place to overtake. Although you gotta make sure when you overtake that for this one, the second part of the chicane, you're way in front of the other guy, so you can keep that place. And then it's the main straight, where it's obviously the easiest place to overtake. Just a little rundown.
Yeah, Scyther will give us a nice lap here. How about you? Oh, hold on, he's letting someone go. He's gonna, I think, come to the pit lane. Never mind, he's not gonna start a lap. Who's someone who's gonna start a lap who can show us some magic? Stenner is. Stenner's starting a lap. Grandpa also is too. How about we go on board with Stenner, though? Talk us through Stenner's lap. The other Red Bull driver. Trying to take a front row away maybe from Grandpa, or pole position away from Cam. Zatzy.
Sorry?
Take us away on Stenner's lap here. Talk us through it. Hot lap here.
Well, now coming up to the Schijfvlak. Difficult corner to really get right. I'm gonna take a lot of speed into here. This corner is easy to stop, as you saw with him last lap. You don't want to hit the exit curb, that's killing for real. This part of the track is very interesting. This is the corner with no lane. Yes, this corner has no lane. He does it perfectly. Here up to the chicane. It's really difficult chicane. You throw the car into there, although it looks slow. It's quite fast, but it looks slow. Here the last corner. I really like this corner, to be honest. You can kind of almost kiss the inside curb. And then here in the banking corner onto the straight. And this is actually quite a decent lap. It's put him into P3.
His teammate went second fastest.
Has also set a lap. He's a few hundreds off Cam.
Speaking of Cam, he's on a lap now for Ferrari. Take us through this one as well. Since it's your home race, why not? How about you give us more with Cam?
Turn 1 gets it perfectly right. Almost double apex corner. Gecko sets fastest lap. That's insane.
8-4. Well, Chad, if you have not got any predictions, now's the time. Take it away again.
He does know how to drive Gecko, does. Ooh, that's quick. Full throttle through here, 6th gear. Interesting tactic. I really like Cam's driving tactic with the refs. You can
It's
notice
going to
how he
work out
keeps
quite
it
well.
high revs. Yeah.
It will. I see a lot of drivers do that a lot, and yellow flags there, but it's not going to affect Cam. 10th up.
That will be P1. He's quick.
Well, you got to master this final
Ooh,
sector.
that's that nice.
Here we go. One
Yes,
final
takes
corner.
a lot of speed and it through air. Yeah.
What's it going to be for Cam?
Open.
Comes to the line.
8-3. 4.
8-4.
Oh, almost.
Okay. So he did lose time in the final sector.
He is Korsman 185 also. P3.
Yeah. Another Dutch driver as well up there, just like Grandpa. 2 Dutch drivers up in that top 5 area. How about that?
Yeah. That's what we like to see.
Yeah. Nice home race for them. And we talk about, like I said, we talk about the British drivers with their home racing and the US drivers with the home race. You get a lot of those, but one thing we don't always talk about is the Dutch drivers with their home racing. We've got a lot of them in our league, and we've got some of them tonight. Let's see, who's about to start a lap? How about, let's go over one of our backmarker drivers, and one of the drivers who aren't as fast as mainly the others. Mythic for Haas, as the Alfa Romeo of Red Fire goes 8th fastest. Mythic now is going to come through the first couple corners here, and he's going to go on the low line, high side out. And Mythic has had a decent RPL career, it must be said. It's not been exactly perfect, which is okay. He's had quite a few podiums to his name in F2. He's had a chance at Red Bull, and then moved to the Ferrari Academy for the start of the new season. And now he's invalidated. That's one of the spots you can invalidate there. Right there in that right curb, and then heading to where Mythic is about to head to in the right-hander there. And maybe if you use too much curb on the left side in that banking area, the corner before it, it can give you an invalidation for track limits. So that's going to be something we watch out for tonight, no doubt about it. There's not a lot of places, but when you do exceed track limits, we know you've really been pushing. Exactly where Nando just went through. Here comes Nando. We have Nando coming across the line now. What's it going to be for the Haas driver? Can he improve on any places? He can improve to 11th. So the driver who made his return to RPL last week and ended up with an okay finish, 11th place, is 11th place in this session as well, again.
Hunted P5, it's quite good.
Hunted the Tier 2 champion from last season. Showing what he can do against teammate T.S. Korsman, who is a proven F1 winner. Another proven F1 winner happened last season. In Season 9 is Stenner. We're going to give him the commentator's jinx, though, because he just rode the curb and cost himself tons of time. I don't think he's going to continue in this lap. He is completely shut off the battery, and he's not pushing 100%. So that mistake, very costly in his lap. We'll see what happens there.
I think he would maybe get hunted still.
He still has a chance. He's just got to refuel it. Or
Owens set a good lap as well. I can see Owen
back.
move up to P8 or P7 as well.
Yeah, the chiller. See what he could do for AlphaTauri. A lot of criticism recently in F1 for his contract, let alone his finishes. Now, the chiller is down on his time, and 12-time F1 winner and the Season 1 champ. He's looking to add some history here into Formula Endurance. Who do we have coming across the line next? How about Valkyrie, who's won here before? She's won here in F2. She's got one Tier 2 podium. And of her 3 F1 wins, you can at least say a third of them are at this circuit. And that one was in the rain. I don't think there's any rain projected tonight. I'll check the driver's chat in the meantime. But here comes Valkyrie coming through first couple corners. She's going to take the low line and go toward that right curb. Now, here she comes, using that white line as her best friend, because that's all you could really hope for in that area with how tight it is. Not going to use the curb on the inside, not going to use the curb on the outside. Now, just touching the curb on both sides this time. 57 thousandths down in the first sector. She's got to find time in this Aston Martin. So in tier 2, little
No, it's
mistake.
gone.
She backed off. Yep. So in tier 2, she has went over to Mercedes from that Aston Martin, and after wavy struggles, a little car swap. And someone who has made a little car swap from last week in terms of racing is Gecko. Gecko ended up finishing quite well last week, I believe. No, he finished 10th, but he was having a good run up until then. Excuse me. 4 F1 wins. And now, backed off of this lap. We're going to have to go to somebody else who's on a lap or on an out lap. Therefore, we can keep up with drivers on hot laps and in that order up until the last 30 seconds of the session and onwards. Because if you're not out on track now, you're likely not going to get a lap in. Because this is the final bits of qualifying.
Stenner in on track now.
Finally.
Yeah, we'll make it.
Fabian Marksteiner. Don't know who that is. Don't think he's an RPL member.
He left.
That may be why.
Sorry,
Who's the next one? Gecko? I think Gecko started one now. See, the thing with recovering ERS at this track, and we're going to pay attention to it a lot in the race, is you really only recover 9% in the pit lane for your battery. So you need to be careful on that battery. It's so hard to gain it back. And Gecko, it might be a dogpile race for pole position between the 2 Ferraris, the 2 McLarens, the 2 Red Bulls. And how about Blonde, who is returning to RPL tonight, has quite a few F2 wins, goes 8th fastest, and now a 10th up for Gecko. All drivers trying to get to the line to start their final hot laps. We got 5 more coming across the line, and Gecko's off. Gecko is off and spinning.
Cam is quicker than Gecko. He's 1/10 under his time.
And he's going to see that his teammates made a mistake, so at least Gecko can do at least the bare minimum and give him a tow. We have Red Fire coming across the line, and now L74G. They will get their final laps in. The Ferraris do give a little bit of slipstream here. Cam is up by 50 thousandths. Checkered flag is waving. We'll now switch to the drivers coming across the checkered flag rather than the hot laps. So Cam, who took pole position in RPL Season 9 F1 in this race couple months ago, is looking to redeem himself once again to go 2 for 2 in Zandvoort, comes across the line to extend pole position to an 8-3. Next across the line behind that involves a couple other cars. Grandpa has made a mistake. He spun. That's going to be it for him. Next across the line, Owen was 10th for Aston Martin. A podium last week, a top 10 this week. Hunter comes across the line, 5th for him. Next will be the Alpine of Scyther, who sets it 5th fastest. Nice lap from him. Blonde, 9th fastest as well. The Haas next across the line of Nando. Looks like it will be a small improvement for him, if any. No. Red Bull comes across the line of Stenner. Can Stenner go any faster? No. Korsman, can he go any faster? Korsman's going to take the front row. So, unless L74G can say something who's getting an incredible slipstream, it will be pole position for Cam, and it will be L74G's only 3rd. So, Cam, who sat on this pole in this race, Season 9, F1 Tier 1, in the second half of the season, is going to go 2 for 2 in Zandvoort. Back-to-back poles, and his only 2 poles in RPL. That slipstream did help, because Korsman was 44 thousandths off. And similar to this race in Season 9 F1, you had Korsman up there, you had Luke up there. Got the same thing this time as well. Scyther didn't race this race last season. Or not last season, but Season 9 F1, excuse me. So, Cam on pole, Korsman, front row. Dutch driver is P2. And 2 Dutch drivers in the top 5, with Grandpa being 5th, Gecko 4th, by the way. Scyther, 6th, Hunted 7th, Stenner, Blonde, then Red Fire, Owen, and the drivers outside the top 10 in significant better cars and big names. The Chiller, Valkyrie, and the fake TB, who starts last due to being loaned late, being put in the lineup late, serving the qualifying ban. Who was the big shock to you in that session, Zatcy?
Luke, for sure. I mean, he got a nice slipstream from Valkyrie, but he did well. I mean, I think it's impressive, P3 in the Mercedes, considering the rest of the grid.
Well, Let's find out what happens here in the race. The strategy is likely going to be a soft, hard, soft, hard, medium, hard. A soft medium is possible, but it's a complete Hail Mary. And considering what we saw last week, a two-stop is possible too. And you lose 18 seconds in the pit lane. By the way, none of the top 2 in the championship attending tonight, so we'll see what happens in terms of championship standings once the race is over.
I like Cam's driving style, to be honest. As on
Should
board
be
with
very
him, I
interesting to
think
see.
it's quite good.
Shall be interesting to see how he handles it. You know, he finished second in this race in RPL F1 Season 9. Only finished behind Reese, the Tier 1 champion.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
And both were penalized, too. And that meant Cam was just only off by 1/10 at the end.
Interesting.
Find out how he copes with the pressure this time. Just waiting on the 5 red lights for the drivers. And then we'll kick things off. 72 laps tonight. It will be the final time we race here in the year of 2023 in RPL. Here come the lights. They're coming on for one final time in 2023. We are racing in Zandvoort. Korsman off the line decently, but it's going to be a matter of covering off L74G. They're 3 wide in the background, so Korsman's going to go for a dive. Contact with the Red Bull Stenner with red fire. That's going to cause him to lose places, and around is Owen. Owen, podium last week. His hopes for that are dashing down the order. So, TB up some places. He's battling now Wavy and Mythic as the yellow flags are still out for Owen. He still can't get back going as now the top 6 single file. And they now go side by side further behind that. You got TB and Mythic dueling it out. TB having to use the outside line to avoid collision, losing places. But everybody now sitting behind one another. Oh, Mythic and Nando collision with the chiller. That's the back of the grid. 13th on down, and that's a ton of issues. You got Wavy with damage, Mythic with damage, Nando potentially too. It's just a late dive
Doesn't have damage
with a big accordion effect. And a couple places trading further back, but Cam will lead lap 1 for Ferrari. So a nice little start from him. He's done exactly what he needs to do, and it looks like it will be a 2-stop here from him. And I'm not surprised by that because the 2-stop is very likely.
Gecko on Luke.
Here we go. On the back of L74G. He's heating up the move, as you said. Can he find a way past? It's very tricky to overtake here. He's going to slide. Not what he needed. Down 3 places. And now maybe more. Oh, Stenner had a peek and it almost caused a collision, and Red Fire's gonna lose places now too. That could have ended a lot worse, and I think he's lucky it didn't.
Yeah, that looked quite interesting.
Yeah, here goes Stenner, back down the inside. Having a peek. One-time F1 winner. Trying to go on someone who's won 4 races in F1. Tier 1 in RPL. Can't make the move. Who else do we got? We got the top 6 pulled away by themselves. DRS will be enabled on this lap as they cross the line. Korsman saving battery. Cam using a little bit more. And 13-0. He is putting the pressure on him now. Blonde, Red Fire, wheel to wheel for P9. Here we go. Red Fire going to have the inside line. He commits there. Blonde goes around the outside. Neat little move from him. He stuck his car, planted in the perfect position to make that move. He is overtaken. Red Fire for P number 9.
Maybe Gecko has damage because, I mean, Stenner is quite quick compared to Gecko, even though Stenner's on the hard and Gecko is.
Maybe. I mean, we can't see anything visibly. If it's anything that's damaged for him, it surely has to be lime green. And now the race lead is something we got to focus on because Korsman has closed that gap down to just under 2/10 as the DRS is finally enabled. What can happen here between these two? Korsman has not won at his home race, but he's had podiums twice. Cam came up short of the victory here before. And L74G, a past Zandvoort winner. He was the first one to win here back in the third season of RPL. Korsman setting fast laps now, sitting behind. Cam not going to make the move. Fastest lap for Stenner, who has Gecko for company. Blonde has a DRS train here with 3 cars, and De Chiller making the move on Wavy. The move is complete right there on the Williams. Williams got a podium in Season 7 in this race in wet conditions. Looks like it's going to be a full dry race tonight.
Shaq goes really quick again. P6 only 4/10 behind Haunted. Also for GT scores on Cam, of course. So he's really showing pace in the LP. It's impressive.
Well, let's see what can happen. Can Scyther put the pressure on Hunted to catch up? I mean, they're on medium tires. The top 3 on softs. The interesting thing is, you know, I probably don't even have the strategy correct here myself with what I said. Noting as the fact that, yes, it does go 2 times. Tire length, you could call it, I guess. But with it being a 100% race, not even the drivers fully know unless they've practiced a ton for this race. And Cam now setting fast laps in the lead of the race. Korsman still staying behind and not going to make the move. They have a DRS train behind them, 3rd to 8th, which has Stenner at the very back of it. And then behind him, Blonde, Redfire, and Valk for the last point spot. Redfire kicks some dirt up in the air right there, but no harm from that one.
I thought Jack Mouse would join as well, but
I thought he would too, but he hasn't, and he a little late to this one tonight, and not in time. He's gone MIA, because Luke had hosted the session. Usually it's Jack for this tier, so yeah. Unfortunate to see Jack here tonight. He got that podium for Williams that I was talking about, as Valk now makes a move in Redfire. Redfire is maybe trying the switcheroo, but cannot shape up a move to get past, so Redfire's going to have to stay behind, and Blonde may get away from these two to get them out of DRS. And speaking of DRS, L74G looks to have got himself back in DRS of the top 2, who are really setting their sights up for an overtake here. You saw Korsman dump the battery. Cam still in the lead. Does he hold the lead for much longer? Korsman pulls the inside, and it's Korsman's lead now. At his home race, he's now leading the Dutch Grand Prix. Scyther with the fastest lap of the race in P6. He's trying to put some teammate pressure on Hunted, the Academy teammate, to get closer to Grandpa, because that's for the first medium runners. Go ahead, sir.
Nice move from Wavy now.
Yes, on De Chiller. Right there for P12. I think De Chiller wanted to have a peek back at it, but Wavy keeps himself intact there nicely. And, yeah, De Chiller has to settle for P13, and also about to be caught here, De Chiller, is by Owen, who had the spin on lap 1. I mean, that really seemed like the big issue in the first sector, at least, obviously, onwards right here in this area is when the trouble all started for everyone behind Owen. But, yeah, looked like in terms of just Sector 1, though, which is so narrow, Owen was the only one spinning, and that was a self-spin.
I mean, it's a long race, so he can still recover.
He really can. He did the same thing last week.
Luke, and he overtake him. Yeah, it was really fast. So.
Cam shaping up a move. Grandpa gets Luke. Does Cam go for the move? No. Grandpa now up into P3. He has one car in between him and the next medium runner. So strategy is going to definitely play a big factor on what these drivers are looking for. Medium hard being the preferred strategy. If they're going for a one-stop, that's the way they're going to go. We saw, I believe, in the Tier 1 race, someone try a two-stop. I don't know if it'll be the case this time, but we really could see it since it's a 100% race, and we saw it last week with the help of safety cars. If we don't get a safety car this week, I still think we'll see it with one or two drivers, as Wavy did get the Chiller there for P12. Nicely done. And sideways, and Gecko destroys the Alasterium, and that's going to cost him P7.
And Gecko's got a lot of pace in him, but he just doesn't be able. He's not able to show it now.
Too many mistakes. You can't make that many mistakes in a top car, especially with Cam, your teammate, being P2.
Oh, he's almost
And
off
he's
again.
low on the battery. So is Cam shaping up a move before turn 1? No. He's going to stick in behind. Let's see, who else do we have making a move? Or at least under threat. We've got Redfire and Valk. The Chiller's close to Wavy, but not close enough. The Chiller just going to drain that battery. See, and this is the issue with the Chiller, with everyone talking about him in terms of criticism for Tier 1. You know, he is in a backmarker car, and he has 22% battery left. Well, where's he going to get that battery back now? That's the problem. You can't get the battery back around a circuit like this, and where's that pace going to go that you could find in the second half? He's not going to have any of it. So, when he gets this criticism, I do see some of it as unfair in terms of Tier 1, but on the battery usage, compared to guys like Scyther right here, a past champion, two-time champion in Tier 1, two-time champion in F2, he's sitting here P6 in the train, in a car that's not so great. He knows his worth. He's not practiced a lot for this event, and he's got 85% of the battery. And he's on the medium tires, third of those medium runners. So I think he knows his worth a little bit better than someone like the Chiller, who's a little bit farther back.
I mean, like you said, probably some of the criticism is right, but I still do believe in the Shillers. Oh, one sec.
Haunted. Clears.
Luke just
Luke.
got overtaken by 2 cars as
And
well.
so does Scyther, yeah. Academy teammates right there working together.
Yeah.
And look who's closed in on the back of Cam. Grandpa's going to put the pressure to Cam now. And the Chiller and Wavy once again trading places for P12. It's the Chiller who takes the place for AlphaTauri. Stenner around the outside of L74G. This is a narrow, tricky section where you don't usually see a move. Stenner's going to continue to be there, making contact with Luke. Little wheel banging, but Stenner makes the move on the outside, completing the overtake.
Well, I was quickly about to say about the Chiller. I mean, the criticism, some of it is right, but I still do believe in the Chiller's abilities. I mean, he is experienced. He has raced in this league for a long, long time. And it's just a matter of time before a driver like him rises to the occasion again. Because he is very good, and people forget that quickly.
People do. He was a Season 1 champion for a reason. A lot of people go to no competition being part of the reason. But he took the lead in the final 5 races of the championship for a reason. And a lot of it in this league, that happens. It happens for a reason. Even if, a little boot there from Grandpa into the back of Cam. That almost cost them time. Luckily, I think it only cost them just a little bit. Maybe a little bit of frustration. But, yeah, you mentioned the Chiller. I mentioned the Chiller. The one thing I will mention, though, in terms of them two, as a little move being shaped up right here. The thing I think of in terms of... Owen also going for it. Down the inside. Connecting wheels. But the Chiller stays in front.
Season 1 teammates.
Yeah, the thing... Yeah, teammates, you're right. Yeah, Season 1. Yeah, the thing I think about with the Chiller is... In time trial, he ends up matching Cookie's times. Or being just off of it. I mean, the Chiller is very track dependent, don't get me wrong. As L74G has made mistakes, dipped the wheel in the gravel, and now lost 2 places. Maybe more. But, yeah, the thing with him that I was going to mention is the fact that, you know, he's close in time trial. You know he's got some pace there. So why is it missing so much in qualifying and race? You know, yes, he's a qualifying merchant like people mention. But I really think the pressure does get to him a little bit. That may be part of it. Not practicing as much in the race. Hold on. 3 abreast for the race lead. Grandpa, double overtake as he makes contact with Cam and Korsman to take the lead of the race. Second Dutch driver to lead their home race tonight. Yeah, so Grandpa made these moves in the Red Bull. The car to Chiller's in Tier 1. And the thing I was just going to briefly mention is we need to get back to the battling. It's all kicking off. With the Chiller, right, yeah. Submissive with his overtaking, the big issue for me. And, well, battery management, another thing. And the other thing that I got to mention that it really bothers me seeing, because he's the one who's closest to putting pressure on Cookie, in my opinion. Or could be. Same car, obviously, so that's why. I think another part of the problem for him is the fact that he just simply does not convert the same pace from time trial to the race or even qualifying. And the thing is, Scyther himself, who's running P5, does one lap, puts a setup on, and still ends up faster than the Chiller, who does a lot of laps. And Korsman, tank slapper on the curb, lost the rear, luckily saved it. But that's the difference with the Chiller. Watch what he does on AlphaTauri tonight. But now, Cam trying to retake the race lead down the inside, side by side of turn 1. Grandpa's going to hang it around the outside. He gets onto the curb, loses time, race lead, swapping once again.
Luke in the pits.
And 2 drivers do pit, Luke and Gecko.
No, but trust me, it's just a matter of time before you see, like you say, the Searles pace converting, because he is a good driver, and that's not gonna change overnight. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, Zatcy,
I do believe it.
I mean, you owned, you know, RPL at one point. You know, racing to Chiller before. I mean, he has a lot in store and a lot to show. The thing I want to mention for a moment is Grandpa here in the Red Bull, right? We can see the pure pace in him right now tonight. And another thing as well, in terms of drivers who have pace like the Chiller has, but can't convert it, is Grandpa. Grandpa seemed to do that last week, where he got in pole position, he had a lot of pace, but could not convert it into a race win or anything. He got the drive-through, he made mistakes, and now, no mistakes made right now, because he's taking the race lead, once again.
Yeah, these are just pulling away. Or trying to, at least, because it doesn't work.
It's a 6-car train now. And once they do pit,
if Cam
they're
is
gonna
smart, he should charge his ERS behind Grandpa, because Grandpa's more ERS than him. He's on the better tire now, you would say, at this point into the race, so... Our Cam, I would just... sit behind
Owen
Grandpa.
defending. Gecko on the outside, started to cut in. L74G also ducking to the inside to make a move, and they touch! Oh, that's L74G into the wall from that contact. A little late, maybe? I'm not sure, but there was contact that resulted in L74G going wide. I think the Chiller may have picked up damage. He definitely has. He's got an end plate missing. Luke and Wavy trade places again. But what I was going to say is, you mentioned Grandpa and the pack of cars. If they're not careful enough, L74G and Gecko, where they came out, is where those pack of cars in this front 6, maybe 7 with Blonde too, would come out if they pitted. Now back
from Gecko.
Yeah, back to the race lead and back to second place. Korsman wants to regain that place he once had. They almost come together. In the background, we've got Hunted, Scyther, all battling it out. Korsman has to tuck in behind Cam, while Scyther is P4 over Hunted, and now Stenner wanting to make the move, but not close enough on the back of him. He's the lone one here on hards.
Yeah.
See, I really wonder, you know, this is the same type of race it was in Tier 1. It was a 5-car train, 4 cars maybe at the end, up until the very end, I guess. You know, with the way things went as the Chiller and L74G pit for repairing front wings. Is this going to be the same way throughout the whole race? We had a 4-car train last week in Silverstone. Mineko, the one who is out front most, and probably should have won if it weren't for safety cars. We've had no VSCs or safety cars this time, but if it remains without that being the case, even with pit stops happening, does this still be a 6-car train at the end of this race, becomes my question.
Well, if there's no safety cars or VSC, no. I think you will see then Cam or T.S. Korsman trying to close down on one of the medium runners who inevitably pits, who does a one-stop, so I think you'll see a bit of that if it stays this way.
Stenner and
Hunted as well, I mean, he'll be on the medium, he'll be rapid in the end.
Stenner and Hunted were tantalizingly close to contact right there in turn number 1. Gecko sets the fastest lap. Owen pits for the first time this race, and that means we should be seeing Korsman and Cam come in soon. So now, Stenner helping himself out here in the Red Bull, taking P5 away from Hunted.
Gecko still wouldn't be P1 even if Grandpa or Cam or any of these guys pit right now, he won't be P1 because he's 24 seconds behind the leader. You need 18 seconds, you mentioned, so yeah, he still needs to go on this race. But I think Gecko has the pace as well to obviously be annoying for Grandpa, so that can maybe get a win.
I mean, the lucky thing with these top 6 cars is they won't no longer come out in a train. They'll be in between Valk and Gecko. So we'll see how it shapes up. Cam saving some battery, staying behind Grandpa, not making the move this time for the race lead. Behind that, there's a battle that we've not really talked a lot about since the start of this race. Nando, Mythic, the Chiller, and Shanghai. The Chiller after his pit stop for damage. Nando, Mythic, and Shanghai involved in lap 1 tangles. All back here. Have been trading and swapping places throughout the whole race, and now that's Owen, the cause of yellow flags. He's doing a 180.
That's a shame. I mean, it's a long race, so
If he can somehow salvage points out of this, that will be good for him
it's Owen again.
in terms of where he sits in the championship, P3. I mean, he needs something like that to happen if he's serious about a championship fight in this tier. I think he's more focused on tier 2. Mythic and Shanghai wheel to wheel. The Chiller took off Nando for P15. And contact. Shanghai will remain ahead.
On T Scoresman.
And now you're right. Scyther and Korsman are wheel to wheel heading toward turn 1. Due to Korsman backing out, that gives Scyther the advantage to be side by side off the corner. The Academy teammates and the teammates in F1, Tier 1, battling it out. But it's Korsman getting that bridge and getting tapped from Scyther. Scyther's made the same mistake for the 2nd week running.
That's a shame. The T Scoresman's race. It's a long race, he can still recover.
And it's a long race for Scyther. Why? I mean, I get he's following. It's maybe a little tougher to see it. But why? You're gonna cost yourself in the storage room again. And Hunted's off. The 2nd McLaren to have issue within the 30 seconds. And now his teammate is gonna go through and take the place. That is unfortunate. It becomes now a 4-car train.
Owen is retired. Safety car.
Oh.
Okay, so that's good for the soft runners, for like T Scoresman and Cam.
That's
I mean,
Owen
they
out.
don't have to pit. Even though I think Grandpa will pit as well.
Yeah, you're right about that. This does play into Korsman and Hunted's hands. For sure. And everyone heading to the pit lane in this top 6 area. Double stack for McLaren. Hopefully no one in speeds. Everyone looks to be okay for now in terms of getting it down just under the speed limit. We'll see who stays out, and we'll see who's affected by the double stacking. Everybody in the top 9 pitting, Gecko pitting as well. We'll go back to the race leaders to see who gets out where. It's Grandpa, Cam, and then Scyther. And Stenner going to be P4 for the double stacks. Hunted behind Blonde due to the double stacks. And there you have it for the top 10. Well, if you want to tune in to start of 2024, here is where we're going to be for all of our tiers for the first weekend in January. Next in Formula Endurance, we go to Portimao. That will be fun. We've not done a Portimao race in quite a bit in RPL. F2 will be the last time we did one, but for the main 2 tiers, we've not done one in quite a while. Azerbaijan for Formula 1 Tier 1, and Japan for Tier 2 is where we'll be exactly next after the stream is over tonight. And the Tier 2 drivers tackle that circuit. And that's, funny enough, Zatcy, where I made my commentary debut in this league.
Yeah.
Should be fun.
Not commentary debut like overall, but in this league for sure I think it's good because I like these long races, so you can just chill, relax, and go to the race. But what I will say, I will get some food because I'm hungry.
I mean, it's crazy to look at in terms of the holidays, like, you know, where I started and how long it was ago. I want to say it was 4 to 5 years ago. I mean, not in the big leagues, but some leagues that are with well-known people now, for sure. I want to say it was end of 2018. It surely had to be. I want to say it was F1 2018 where I started commentating. If it wasn't end of 2018, it surely had to be beginning of 2019, though. Without a doubt. I've been league racing for a while. It's crazy to think about where things have gone from it. And we'll have the 5-year anniversary in the summer for RPL, I believe. 5-year? I think it's 5-year. Is it 5-year or 4-year? It should be 5-year, I think. Well, Scyther's made a comment on the Korsman collision, by the way, and he said that Stenner was pushing him through there. I would believe it, but you couldn't see enough of a good angle on stream to believe it. So, I don't know. Find out. Safety car will not be in this time. Owen, the only DNF to this race. And for the second week running, we do get a safety car. But it took 19 laps to have that happen. Which is nice to have green flag racing without many safety cars back to back to back to back to back and whatnot. You know, it's crazy. I mean, you mentioned the early days of RPL. We mentioned season 1 with the Chiller and Owen. We mentioned just, you know, right now and some of the things and how it's changed a lot, and the transition from IOR to RPL and all those things, owners. You know, the one thing I think about as well is I was watching this league anywhere from like season 3 to season 6, maybe 7, quite a bit in the F1 territory. And there was always constant safety cars and constant DNFs. And it's not to trash the league in any way, but it's to say we've changed in such a way to where we get quite a few races now without safety cars, and we get some races with not as many DNFs. We just had a Tier 2 race. In fact, I want to say it was last week in Texas with no DNFs, the first one this game cycle. So, I mean, I'm sure as a previous owner yourself, Zatcy, you're happy to see this change. If he's even there, I don't know if we lost Zatcy or not. We did not lose Zatcy. He's still here in the party, but not talking. If you want to provide any funny context, there's me getting aired on the stream. But no, either way, I'm happy to see it changed. I mentioned it time and time again, but it's what made me see what this league was before I commentated. I saw Polo, F1 driver, Beatnik, and other drivers who were in leagues of mine before racing here in RPL. And that's when I started to tune in. And then after Polo and F1 driver weren't racing anymore, it became watching Sam Steed, JNT, Lando Ford Norris, who recently left the server. I don't know why, but it was nice to see him race here and whatnot. So a lot has evolved. I was out of the community for quite a bit and just out of league racing as a whole, and said I don't want to come back. And then I said I'll come back, but I'll commentate. And I think since July it's been the right decision, and we're now 5 months on to end off the year and start off 2024. And now for what could be the final safety car restart of the year here, if, you know, we get some green flag racing to continue. Cam is right up Grandpa's gearbox as we're about to get green flag racing underway. Grandpa, pedal to the metal. We're go, go, go once again. Stenner, Korsman, already in the back of Scyther, giving him tons of pressure. Outside line, long way around. Can Stenner use the far outside to his advantage? No. And now single file all the way back to the back of this field as L74G pits once again. It's now been multiple stops for him in this race. Make it this one being a 3rd stop. You got some people already on 2 stops like TB and Gecko who've had issues to start this race. We didn't go over the positions gained, but Stenner and Scyther and Grandpa, all winners here from the start of this race, and the fake TB in some capacity, as now Korsman gonna go down the inside. Stenner gonna lose the rear in the process, but not gonna be too costly, it looks like, as it's still P4 for Stenner. And now at the back of the field, Shanghai is having issues. And now Gecko down the inside of Valkyrie. making contact. Now making more contact. That's rear to front this time. And TB is going to have a peek around the outside. Can he make this work for him? As Valkyrie still tries to get through. Cannot do so. Yellow flags for L74G. But now for the race lead. Grandpa being overtaken by Cam as he regains the race lead. Here's Gecko. Here's TB. Here's Valk. Here's Wavy. 2x2 into turn number 1. TB coming out ahead. Gecko slotting in behind. And now the race lead has 0.3 separated between 1 and 2 as Scyther is there to challenge. A lot of drivers saying their fuel is going to be an issue at the end of this race. We'll find out what will be the factor on that one as Wavy is looking to try to get by Valk again. But the top 5 are really close. We have to keep our eye on this one. So, Grandpa in prime position to take this race lead back as DRS will be enabled once again soon here. And the DRS train here with these cars goes all the way back to 12th. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Damn.
I did not realize you were muted. I knew you weren't talking. I thought you were AFK.
Yeah, I was getting some food, but I was back even before the safe started.
Well, here we go. Wavy is going to take the place over Valk for P11. Williams, who had a podium in this race back in Season 7, are just looking to get some points tonight. Wavy, 1 F2 win all-time to his name. Very neat from him if he can take at least some points from him tonight off of his competitors. But Cam still leads this race for Ferrari. Go ahead.
I think...
Go ahead.
Stenner is quite quick. Yeah, he could still win, to be honest.
I mean, he's found some time on Scyther and his competitors. He's picked them off one at a time. If he can just do this and play the patience game, you're exactly right. Red Bull have 4 wins at the circuit in RPL F1. If they can find another one tonight, if it doesn't come out the hands of Grandpa, it could be Stenner. He loses the rear.
Stenner.
That's going to be Korsman's place now for P4, just to cause the mistake again from Stenner. Commentator's curse.
Ooh,
for the race lead, gaining. Scyther's in prime position because Grandpa had to back out to stay behind, and now Scyther takes 2nd place.
I'm really impressed with Scyther's racing. He's insane. Wait, that was...
I am too. I love watching him race. I really do. He makes some great overtakes, and you're right. You're right, I am starting to see rain. Did any of the drivers expect this? I didn't even say anything. I didn't even say anything about them expecting rain. I don't think they said anything about it. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, me neither.
So this comes as a surprise. So some sprinkles is gonna spice up this race. But Alpine are in P2 right now at Scyther. 2 previous podiums at the circuit in RPL F1. They're trying to make it another one as Scyther is continuing to impress. Yeah, I love watching him race. He makes some great overtakes, great moves, and he's just so calculated with it. He's a 50-time F1 and F2 winner for a reason.
Damn. Now he's gonna take the lead as well.
Here we go! Here we go! Oh, it almost got dangerous! Cam almost got juked right there because Scyther's back down the inside! Can Scyther find the time to get past? No! But that was extremely on the limit from the 2 race leaders, and that was close quarter racing at its finest.
Yeah, that was close. It was good to watch though.
Very, very much on the limit. And as it does start to rain, we wonder when will Inters be the tire to go on. Is it in between the Inters period the whole time? What's going to be the case? Scyther's still close. Korsman down the inside, having a peek. Can't make the move.
Hopefully it's actually going to rain where they have to pit to the wet or the Inter tires.
I've seen this happen in Season 7 in RPL F1. I've seen this happen in F2 in this game cycle. With the circuit. See what
Zandvoort's
happens.
always a circuit where you can rain. So. And now here comes
Horseman
Scyther
close to
again.
Grandpa. Scyther's closer to Cam. He's going the long way around again. And they touch! They touched
Oi.
on the front straight. And that caused Scyther to go deep. Can Cam be side by side to turn 2 and make anything from it? No, but he
Oi.
taps the back of him. Scyther wiggles. And now Korsman is going to take advantage on the outside line. He is through up into P3. The 3-time F1 winner is really taking advantage in his home race, and now on the back of Cam.
You just gotta know your rest though.
That's the problem. And Stenner has taken advantage of Grandpa, who goes wide.
An interesting race.
A very interesting race. It's shaping up very interesting with this rain playing a factor. I don't think it's enough for Inters, but it's just coming down so slow to where you just don't know if it's ever going to reach the Inter period. As here goes Blonde around the outside of Grandpa, taking advantage here, and now Hunted on the back of Grandpa will be in DRS pursuit on the front straight. Again, this lead is close, but can Cam reclaim this race lead? Here we go. Still DRS online. Blasts by Scyther. We got cars following. They almost banged, but Scyther has to still be in P2 here. And ducking behind. Korsman and Stenner race it out. Wheel to wheel. They touch. Woo. On the limit again between these two. And they're really on the limit up in the front places. But it's Stenner out in front. Grandpa getting the place on Hunted. The 2 championship protagonists from Season 10 Tier 2. Going to drill it out once again as Grandpa will remain ahead. But losing tons of time. It's really costing these guys. He's got some sort of damage. Surely, yes, the implate. He's off into the gravel. Hunted gave him the boot, and that cost him.
Yeah. How did that even happen?
I mean, I think he had damage from something that must have happened up here. I couldn't think of what it was. Maybe it was when he ran in the back of somebody. Surely it had to be, but so many battles up here in the front 9 places. Because he was leading the race, and now he's been shafted back to 9th. That's exactly what costed him. Scyther looking. Still looking.
Also Blonde. Or have TB on Hunted.
TB, Season 8 F1 champion, takes the place. That's his place now. He's found places up the field since the start of this race. Started all the way back there at the back of this grid. Again, no fault of his own being back there.
Wasn't TB a driver for Red Bull? Like in when he was champion.
Oh, it was Ferrari. It was Ferrari, then he went to Red Bull.
Oh really?
And then he went to Alpine. And then he went back to Mercedes. So 4 different academies in the last 3 full seasons of RPL, I want to say. Season 10, Season 9, Season 8. So yeah, since the end of the last game cycle and this year, he's been a part of 4 different academies full time.
Yeah.
You don't usually see that out too often, wouldn't you say? I mean, not as much anymore with the transfer windows. You used to see it a lot more. But there we go. Scyther gaining on Cam. Does he pull to the inside? No. Cars behind are gaining. Hunted is going to pull to the inside of TB. They do get a little skirmishy and a little argy-bargy on corner exit still. But it's TB's place once again. Wavy and Valk duking it out.
Oh.
That's Valk into the runoff. And the Chiller wants to take advantage of both of them. Outside line for him. He's going to have to use the banking to his advantage. And the traction is all his. And the place is now all his. Here's Gecko on Hunted, who is looking for a move. Again, still with the rain coming down. It's still a little treacherous out there, but not too much as Redfire gets Grandpa. Grandpa off again. Putting a lot of dust onto the circuit.
He should just pit, to be honest.
He might need to. He's got a lot of damage. It's affecting him massively. The Chiller picked him off. Hunted now down the order. TB now down the order. Might have been contact there. So down the inside is Wavy. It's a collision. Wavy and Valk.
Wavy's got damage
Contact
too.
with Grandpa.
Oh, Valkyrie has got damage.
And
Oh,
TB.
Wavy knife behind Grandpa again.
Through on Gecko. You're right about that. This is on the front straight.
He's not hitting.
No.
He's waiting for the enter. So, yeah, look.
Here we go.
Oh,
Massive
Wavy's on the
send.
inside.
And Grandpa
Oh, it worked.
has to concede the place. It worked out quite well. How about that from Wavy? It did mean that it had a better chance of working out with the damage Grandpa had, but fair play to him. TB also on those soft tires cannot get by Gecko, and now it's inters for Valkyrie. Are we seeing drivers in the crossover period now?
Means a gamble. But maybe it will work out.
Let's find out.
We haven't looked at the lead very long, but nothing really has changed.
I mean, surely Grandpa has to pit. This damage is hindering him so much. He can't stay out as long as he has been with this damage because he's went from top 6 outside the train incident to P13. So
And we
yeah,
got
he's
first penalties.
doing it to himself. And you're right. I said it was going to be rare. It took 31 laps to get a penalty in this race. Yep, Hunted is in. Is this
For
enters?
softs. Not softs got damage.
Yes, he does have damage. You're right. It's mediums though.
But mediums. So, oh,
Yes.
my screen shows softs at the beginning.
Oh, that's weird.
And Grandpa's not finally.
Oh, there we go. That needed to happen. I mean, the damage he had, he cannot continue out there. And Stenner struggling. Here's Korsman having a peak, but Stenner lost it following the back of Scyther. Just very, very costly. The grip being reduced because of this rain. You see these guys cannot pull off the same overtakes that they were at the very start of this race. It's not so easy. Unless you're following a damaged Grandpa. The lead close again. This pack of cars continues to follow. But no moves. None of them pitting. I want to see the lap time difference and how the comfortability looks for Grandpa compared to L74G. It's right around that area of a crossover. I mean, look at the lap time to L74G on those mediums. He's keeping a consistent 5.6 second gap. I mean, right here he's going to lose a little bit, but it's right around that area. If it does become enough for these tires, though, as Shanghai is picked off by Hunted.
Oh, 1 minute 23.3. I mean,
6 seconds back.
Luke's still quicker in the. Like,
Yeah.
If you were.
I mean, he is a little bit. I mean, like I said, Grandpa's losing time, but he's just not losing a lot. Which is what you'd expect to have happen, but it's not. Here we go. Scyther ducking out. Defending from Stenner. Stenner's not going to have a look back down the inside to try to take this place back. They remain where they were just moments ago.
I mean, Pa's losing so much on the leaders. It's incredible.
Yeah, he's losing. I mean, was it a small dose of rain for a little bit? You know, that's what I gotta wonder. If it was, it's not enough for inners then. It's that Stenner slides. Yeah, that was crucial. It's that period where it's right before inners, or if it's not that, then it's a period of it's not wet enough for inners, but it's not dry enough for like dry tires. That's what I think we're seeing maybe come at some point. If it's not going to be the case here, as Grandpa's losing tons of time, Stenner's losing a bunch of grip here. And they've got to be careful in this final bank corner to not lose anything here. Lose the race car, lose places, which is what Scyther's about to do here. It's Stenner on the outside. He's boxed in because Korsman has the inside line. Academy teammates working right here together. Gecko and Blonde, wheel to wheel here. Blonde in his return to RPL, having a decent little performance. Yellow flags for Hunted now. Or sorry, that's Dragon Dude behind Hunted in his second start around and in trouble. But yeah, Blonde is making his RPO return. One F1 podium, 9 F2 wins. And he's putting in a decent performance behind teammate Scyther, P6, who has Stenner for company, Zatcy, and he has put a lot of pressure on Scyther, but he's also losing tons of grip here. And I mean, Scyther's caught Cam in some places, but he's also lost a lot of time in the process too. And Dragon Dude pits for inners. We'll see what happens here. I think Valk is abandoning the strategy. I'm gonna go AFK. How about you take over?
Yeah. So Valkyrie in the pits now. He's going on mediums. I mean, it doesn't seem to have worked. Yeah, it doesn't really seem to be working out at all as well. Now she's Stenner again. Not as close as he was last lap. Funny enough, we've only got one penalty guy, which Nando. It's difficult to get penalties here, so interesting. As we have a yellow flag, it's Grandpa, I think. Yeah, Grandpa. He's around. And he's AI as well. He retired? Or he left? No. Oh, that was weird. Anyway, Searles is losing time. Stenner is now really close. So we got the first back marker of the day as Valkyrie is about to get lapped by Cam. Here we go, Stenner on Scyther again. So Scyther is using a lot more ERS than Stenner is. Actually, Scyther is going to make a move on Cam. Here he goes, down the inside is Scyther. Get the car stopping. Yeah, he can. Nice move. From Scyther, takes P1 on those 18 lap old soft tires, which is quite impressive.
Blonde now to the intermediates.
It's Inters.
And so is
So
TB.
Valkyrie hasn't worked out this season. There's Grandpa
Yeah,
has spun again, Ryan, and he lost.
Yeah.
So
I heard that in the background, and I was like wondering, is this Inter strategy working out for these guys? But now the track is actually wet enough for Inters to work out here. Dragon Dude, I think, pitted at the right time. He's going to be the one to take advantage from this, because if any of these guys up in front, Hunted all the way to L74G, have issues, Dragon Dude could take another P11, P12 finish and have a chance for points if something more happens. Maybe a safety car. We got Stenner on the outside of Cam, who's struggling. And now Cam's struggling even more on the crossover period, because he's now got Korsman there to pounce, and it looks like the front force should be in this time. I'm expecting it based on the blue signs. No, none of that. Wow. You saw the blue signs on their MFDs. Again, Cam's in the back of Stenner. A little bump, and that's going to cause him to lose time. You're just struggling for grip here. But what I think they're thinking is going to happen here, I think what they think is that I mean, yeah, they should be in, but I think what they're thinking is that as the Chiller and Nando come in, Nando speeds a little too hot into the pit lane, that was. I think what they think is going to happen is the fact that it's going to go, if they're not going to pit at all, and this is just, who knows, they may pit this time now that they see it. It will go Inters for a little bit, but it's going to switch back to dries to where it's not going to mean much, if anything at all, as L74G picks up a penalty in the pit lane entrance.
It's interesting.
Just, these guys are going to be trundling around if they stay out any longer. I mean, the track is wet. It is purely wet. So,
I mean, let's look at Bond. He's
yeah,
closing in. He's closing 2 tenths in this, or 3 tenths in this entire part of the track. Let's see if they
here we
come in.
go.
They don't.
Stenner's the
The only
one.
one Stanner comes in.
And he almost sped right there if
And
he
Gek comes in.
didn't get it down. Yeah, Gecko is in. Red Fire could very well be.
Blonde
Have those
is,
guys who stayed out an extra lap done this to perfection? Do they really think that it's going to be the case of this track will be wet for maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 laps, but not enough to where it won't be fast enough? Or are they just staying out because they don't feel it's working enough on the time? The only comparison we can really do is Valk to Grandpa.
I mean, you could make the argument TB. He obviously has got a lot of experience. He went in. So, I mean, you might say then that it's the right strategy to go to Indus.
17.5. About to be 17.4, 17.6, 17.7, 17.8. Stenner is losing time to Korsman. It's right in that crossover period, which is weird because this is, if this was last game, this would actually be Inter's completely. Stenner's gained it back.
Anytime you say Stenner losing, yeah, but Blonde gaining.
Yeah, Stenner just gained that back.
Surely they have. Now.
Surely they do. Here we go.
Yeah, Cycler's in the pit.
2 of the 3 coming in.
Am
is into the pit wall.
Yeah,
and I don't know how he didn't pick up damage, but he was lucky the ghosting system works because he's got a 5-second penalty though. Not so lucky for that. That's due to his own mistake.
They're mediums.
Yeah, they are mediums. He's pitting for dry tires. Well, that's odd.
That's interesting.
This is a race out of the pit lane. Blonde and Scyther.
Well,
ooh, Scyther out in front. Cam behind Gecko. Wow, have they really bottled the strategy this badly, or was this meant on purpose? Huh. Well, now the teammates will be dishing it out. With that being said, Korsman the only one. Yet to pit. I don't know. This is interesting. Yeah, now it looks like it's inners. Look at this track. Look at what it just did in the last 30 seconds. You see the spray starting to be kicked up. I mean, Korsman may actually come out here P3. Or maybe P2 still. Stenner tank slapper there. Korsman's in. He got it in safely. Has Korsman timed this out? I don't know. He's held... Scyther's held up Blonde, the teammate, and Gecko as well in this train, so Korsman may come out second. Here goes Blonde.
Yeah.
Here goes Gecko. 3-car race into turn number 1. You got Korsman in the path of this. Coming out of the pit lane as it's Gecko's being spun around. Grandpa's out. Safety car.
Safety car. Yeah.
Korsman came out 3rd, by the way. Just behind Blonde. Well, this has changed things.
Blonde's really in it now.
Yeah, he is. For Alpine. Alpine won the first race in 2023 with ads in Tier 2. As we're ending off 2023. Got an Alpine having a chance for victory, and does Scyther pit here knowing he's in the wrong strategy? Or... Oh! That was lag, I think. Maybe he had a slide. I'm not sure. That looked dangerous and treacherous. Well. We'll find out if any of them come in. Valk has come in. She was on mediums. Welcome along in chat for those of you who have just joined us. Dry is still fastest, Grandpa says. I mean, do we believe him?
Who says that? Grandpa?
Grandpa. Yeah, in chat.
Don't believe him, to be honest. I mean, he spun, so when the track was relatively bright still, so damaged those filters. So What is
He
that?
spun in
Not
both
the
dry
quick.
and wet conditions. Valk overtook him on mediums. Well, I mean, the track's got wetter since then, though, so I don't know. Scyther's in, TB's in, Cam is in,
Wait,
Gecko
where did he
takes
say
advantage.
that?
Red Fire will be P4 here. Maybe
Where
P5.
did Grandpa say that?
Oh, Twitch chat.
Oh.
So, yeah, there you go. There's that answer to that one. I mean, Scyther's been pretty good in this race. So, maybe some opportunistic moves coming soon here to get back up the field? I don't know. It's only a second safety car, so surely it won't hurt to experiment in this one. Shanghai's back into the pits.
Yeah, he could be right.
I don't know. I mean, surely he's got another chance here to be back up the field. And he has to take
I mean,
it with
not now.
everything he's got. Red Fire here is in prime position to take away some good points. To Chiller, who had the trouble to start. He was in that lap 1 collision, and he's P8 right now. Nice recovery. This is exactly what we need to see from De Chiller. I know he's in an AlphaTauri. This is different from his Red Bull F1 stint in Tier 1. But we need to see him. Oh, Korsman's back in. Grandpa's left the session. Korsman is going on softs.
Oh, who? He's taking
Is there-
Grandpa's word for it, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Because what he might be doing then, if this is the case, is he might be saying, look, I hear from my Jeff, or Mark, whatever you want to call him, because he's Mark now. The Chiller comes in. Dragon Dude's in. You know, I have to wonder, is Kurzman and maybe others thinking here, the Chiller's on new enters, never mind, but is he thinking here, I heard it's going to stop raining here in 5 minutes, so why not go on softs? Or is this just a genuine mistake from Korsman? I don't know.
No, I don't think it is a mistake. I think he chose to do it, of course.
I don't know.
But we'll see if it pays off.
Well, we've seen some crazy stuff this race. It looked like it was dry, wet enough for inters, but the dry tires were faster. And then once it looked like it was enough for inters, as most of the field were pitting, it still was not fully ready for inters. But it was around that crossover area, and then it became fully wet. But I don't think DRS has been disabled, though. I didn't see DRS get disabled. I didn't see the notification for it.
Yeah, me neither.
So, if it's still online, we'll see on this restart. By the way, with what I just said, though, the rain has died down quite a bit. Like, not a lot,
That's true.
but quite a bit. It's not just absolutely pouring down enough for inners like it was the start of the stint. It's raining, but it's like that small little drizzle.
You know, it's still too wet for softs. But
Exactly,
yeah.
which is where Korsman might have messed up here. I don't know. I mean, can he keep the ones behind at bay?
Yeah. I don't know how unrealistic this game is in terms of, you know, transition from dry conditions to wet conditions, but this seems to me like the track is wet, so it doesn't seem to be quicker.
I really don't think you can go on the dry tires and be serious about it right now, unless there's something the drivers know more than we do, but it's still raining. It's still raining. I mean, it's more visible on Korsman's onboard as we follow him, but if you go up to Stenner, following behind the safety car, it doesn't look like it's too bad. It genuinely looks like it's drying up a little, like very little. So, I mean, if that's the case, we will see a race where it's dry at the start, wet in the middle, and dry at the end. But has Korsman had this be a little too early, though? I don't know. Was it a mistake? I don't know. We'll find out. Safety car's in. One other reminder to the folks viewing, 9 of you watching, if you're not following the RPL Twitch, I recommend you do so. You'll see some more racing in 2024. In January, we got next time out, Tier 2 in Japan, F1 in Azerbaijan, Formula Endurance in Portimao. And that will be round 3 of our 12 round season. But we've got Red Bull's Stenner leading. One-time F1 winner. Blonde in second. 9 F2 wins. Stenner's back on the gas. Here we go. But he slides. It is a treacherous restart. You can see just some tiptoeing. And Gecko and Scyther almost come together 4 wide. TB and Red Fire take advantages. Red Fire's back on the podium. And for the first time, we could see an all Xbox podium in quite a while. Here we go. Scyther and Red Fire side by side. Cam on the inside. You saw the struggles from Scyther and Gecko connecting wheels. It might happen again here. Side by side, 2x2 here. In the end of the first sector here. Wow. Yeah, so the last time we've seen an all Xbox podium in RPL F1, I don't know about Tier 2, but RPL F1 was all the way back in, hold on, Cam down the inside, move complete. All the way back in Brazil in the penultimate round of Season 8. And Red Fire was on that podium, funny enough here, as he's now dropped down to P7, and TB does get blonde. How about this restart?
Yellow.
Yellow flag. Oh! Stenner, the race leader around! No! Trouble for the race leader, and Nando's out on the side of the road. Third safety car to this race. What has happened here? Blonde is into the pit lane. I just missed Stenner's DNF.
Yeah, I didn't
Korsman's
even see it.
in.
I'm on board with TB. I didn't even see Stenner DNF. Or spin. So.
Back to enters. Chaos. I mean, what else can you call it?
Chaos. I mean,
Yeah.
no, call it. I mean, you could call it crazy.
I mean, it is. It is. It really is.
And
I
Wave
mean-
P7.
Yeah, he's having a good run for Williams. Speaking about their previous podium in this circuit before. Mercedes TB leads. Mercedes have 2 F1 wins here. See what TB can do. 40 podiums in his RPL career. That podium that he had in yesterday, it was under investigation, so we'll see if he keeps it though. Yeah, see. This is insane. It really is. I mean, this race is turned upside down once again. And part of me is not surprised to see it. Last week, the similar thing happened. But, you know, in all honesty, I will say, what I was saying before when you were muted, is we're seeing a change of things in RPL. You know, when I started watching this league, when I race engineered a lot of drivers, and for the brief time I raced F2 for 3 races before the end of F2's RPL stint, there was a lot of times in RPL where there was tons of DNFs, or at least 4 to 5 a race at minimum, and a couple of safety cars here and there. So, with that said, as Nando leaves the session retired from the race, I'm sure you would have to agree, as Shanghai's back in, the improvement in racecraft in RPL and just from throughout time is something I think you're happy to see yourself as the previous RPL owner.
Sorry, excuse me. Wait. What did you just say?
Oh, the improvement from RPL with the, you know, we were down to everybody finishing the race in Texas in Tier 2. Couple DNFs here. I mean, one DNF in the Tier 1 race at the circuit. You know, we're kind of, the tables have turned, you can say.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see RPL really did well.
I mean, it won't ever be perfect. We can't have it be perfect. We know that, but still, I think we're seeing a change in things, and we've seen a change in this race quite a bit. Let's look at the amount of stops the drivers have made. Look at this. L74G in the points on 5 stops. To Chiller on 4. The fake TB on 4 pit stops. 4 stops for Korsman. 6 for Shanghai. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible the amount of stops that have been made in this race from some drivers, let alone the chaos with it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a interesting race. Sure.
There's only more to
Still
come.
the share in the points, so that would be funny if he actually scored points.
Dragon Dude looking for his first points too. His teammate. Dragon Dude, his teammate, looking for a first points finish. Second start.
Interesting. Yeah, I think off the course, and those guys will inevitably overtake them. But still, after that, they just have to finish best of the rest.
I mean, I've seen a lot of wet races here, and I'll even say in the F2 race, I mean, there was still some overtaking, but it was more chaos because it's so hard to keep it on the road here, and a lot of drivers have had struggles doing that tonight. TB had some stuff happen to him earlier in this race, so he's worked his way up here from the back of the grid.
Yeah,
worst to first.
Yeah, I mean, TB did incredibly well to go from last to first. Yeah. Impressive.
I don't ever think he's had a podium here in Zandvoort, or win here in Zandvoort. Maybe he's had a podium, but he's definitely not had a win here. He's had a podium, but he's never had a win here. He's had a pole here, so he's doing himself some favors. Safety car is in. So make sure you continue to watch the RPL action here tonight and in the future. Our Twitch, our socials, the same name, RPL Formula 1. I think the fake TB is wanting to get this restart going because he's pulled it up to 70, backed it down to 60, now down to 55. You got to be careful to be consistent on this pace. You have to be very careful. If you're TB, you don't want to go too early. You don't want the tank slappers. But he's going toward the ending of the banking on the gas. The battery deployed now. And side by side once again for second. Scyther's going to try to pick off Gecko. They collided twice already. Scyther on the inside. Can he take second place back? Sliding in the process. Gecko's still there on the outside line. Yellow flags further back, but it's Gecko who remains P2. Not for long, because Scyther's still sticking his nose in there, and he can't get to place. So it was the Chiller who was around. Okay, right, there we go. That's what happened. Korsman with Stenner, Dragon Dude, all in a 3-car race here to Sector 2. Korsman getting past. L74G down the inside of Wavy. Completes the overtake. And now, the closest pass looks to be...
doing a good job in Alpha.
Yeah, oh! Dragon Dude is off! And that's going to be a penalty for corner cutting. 5 seconds. And Stenner was involved in that collection.
Very nice pass by Korsman.
Scyther and Gecko, once again, part of the action. Gecko losing the place. Stenner, I think, giving up on this race, and he is now.
And safety car.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say with his race, I think he has reason to be frustrated. But it's both Red Bulls out of the race. The last time that happened in any of the tiers where Red Bull did not score points, I'm just checking my list here. You'd have to go back to... Wow, this is a long way back. I think you have to go either way back to either Season 8, Round 18 in F1, or May of 2023, 28 races ago, Season 8, Round 7. I think it's Season 8, Round 7 that was closest, or farthest. So must have been Round 18 then. They were right around the same time. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. You were saying?
It's not that long.
Yeah, definitely. It's still quite a bit, though. At least not on this game cycle that I've had a race with both of them not in the points. And the two Ferraris do a teammate swap. Red Fire's caught in the middle. He's boxed in, and they're colliding. The two McLarens are collected. Red Fire goes through and hunted. And now behind that, it's Valk taking advantage of Blonde, or at least trying to. Can Blonde make the attempt here to get by? Hunted. He's through up into P8 on the Academy teammate. And I don't think Nando's happy with Mythic about the move there on the opening lap. That costed his race. Still could see some backmarker cars in the points, though.
I'm telling you, Cycler's now again in P2. If he actually wins this championship, because he will take the lead after this race. If he actually wins this championship,
yeah, freaking Alpine. Speaking of them, Blonde, the teammate, has just re-overtook Red Fire to get back up to P7, where he once was in this race. It's a train all the way back to P11, but DRS not online as far as I'm aware. So, not going to play a factor toward these guys at all. And giving them an assist to get by one another. Here's Hunted on the right side, pulling out. Here he goes, up into 8th place. That's his now. How about Red Fire? Little switcheroo, but he's sliding in the process. Loose, contact, and almost in a collision with Valkyrie. Luckily, they didn't connect, but Valkyrie has to remain behind due to that. Now she tries another switcheroo herself. Almost. Little argy-bargy right there. They should be coming out okay, and they are. And you said Scyther P2. He's now got Camp for company.
Anything can happen still.
I guess Dragon Dude lagged out. I didn't realize that. Well, there we go. With just 20 laps about to be remaining in this race, can TB pull off the last to first challenge here, which said demotivated him from racing originally tonight. I think he's going to be happy with this one. What?
That's last to first ever happened in RPL.
I think so. I think it has happened a couple of times. I would have to check with Luke and them on that. Blonde chucks it down the inside, gets through before turn 1. Here's Valk and Red Fire in a heavy battle. Red Fire gets pinched into the grass and sliding, but not gonna lose the last point spot. Never mind. Here's Wavy. Inside, Red Fire comes back on in front of the other Williams of Shanghai, and now losing tons.
It looks like TB is really going to win this one.
think
I don't
just
know
hold on.
if they'll have to pit for dry tires.
We've seen Stenner lose it from the race lead. I've got a video coming up later on that at some point. I could add that to the list. Crashes from the race lead in RPL. We've seen quite a bit of that, but it hasn't happened in quite a bit, I must say. To Williams swap teammates.
Luckily, there's no footage from the first ever RPL race. I was in the lead in about 29 seconds, and then I crashed at turn 1, and then to pit, and then Tyler won the race.
If there's a will, there's a way. That's what I say. Blonde,
Yeah.
he's putting up a nice little charge here. Back up to the field. Revenge for him. It's now P5. So he was once P2. Also once in the restart, just to the bottom half of the points. Now he's inside the top 5 again. Valk also going back and forth with Hunted. Wheel to wheel here. Hunted dips onto the curb, and they touch. That's Hunted who pushes her out wide. And it's Hunted's place, but I don't think he meant to do that.
Williams in the points.
Yeah, I mean, they've put up a nice little race here. Wavy's had some moments. Shanghai's joined the league here in the year of 2023, and I think the game cycle of 2023, if I'm correct. So, neat performances there. If it wasn't the game cycle of 2023, I think it was at least 2023 for sure. But yeah, neat performances here in this race from some of these guys like him. You're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, in Canada, I at the beginning I thought, you know, he's got some pace in the race for sure.
Yeah, if they can just find a way to get in the points here, Williams, that'll be a nice result for them. Hunted in closing range of Valk, but not close enough to make the movie. DNF last week, so if Hunted get in the points, it'll be his first Formula Endurance points finish. Redfire is also looking for some more action here in the Alfa Romeo. The Alfa Romeo team last saw a pole in Baku, or sorry, podium, excuse me, in Baku in round number 3 of Season 9 F1 with Jack. And, yeah, if they can find the podium, that'd be nice for them, but they've not had one in a severely long time, and we go to Baku next for the F1 season, so... Shanghai got hunted, and you said, what? What was that?
TB losing time.
And Kim's being gapped by Scyther. That's big things to focus on. Scyther has used quite a bit of his battery now. TB's doing so himself. It's a drag race of straight line speed down this straight. TB with that advantage. But yeah, if Scyther can close his gap, would be very nice to see him challenge for the win for a second week in a row, but he does have some incident likely being reported his way once this race ends.
With Scyther?
Yes, the incident with Gecko earlier on. Technically, it happened twice, but the first one was the one that costed him.
But that's a shame for him. And then we could maybe even see... Oh, Cam is losing too much time.
Yeah, he is, and he's going to be under pressure from Gecko soon, and if it's not Gecko, it'll be Blonde, who's following along nicely under Gecko's presence.
Yeah. Horseman is not closing in on L74G.
I think L74G is going to have the modern record, and I say modern is an F123 record in terms of pit stops and a top 6 finish, but the only one who's made more pit stops than him is Shanghai, who's running P9. Scyther is closing, you said, and he is closing fast. You know, in the F2... Hold on. Well, we'll speak of that in a moment. Speaking of F2, Blonde has 9 F2 wins. He's chasing after a 10th one here, and he's really on the pace here after being farther back. He's now up into P4 over Gecko. Nicely done. What I was going to say about F2 is we saw here in the F2 race, Mythic and FBL trade places on the final lap. We saw from, I believe it was FBL, as Redfire pits, a Ross Chastain NASCAR wall ride type of move in the last corner to get a podium. You know, it's wet conditions, the same conditions that happened in. What FBL did is he slammed the wall in the final corner, absolutely went flat out in F2 cars, which you can't do in that last corner in the wet conditions. And he took the place and what was going to be the podium. Up until Owen appealed the 3-second he had, and that was later on P4. So, as Scyther's now in under a second now, for just a split second, what is Scyther going to do here to take this race win? What is it going to mean to him as TB, Tank Slapper, out of the corner right there?
I mean, he's gonna overtake him. And then we'll see after that. I don't know. Maybe he can even pull a gap after. But I mean, he got about 15 laps to do it, so.
Yeah, there's only so much that
still possible.
TB can do. Yeah, exactly.
TB is struggling.
He is struggling. Struggling for tons of grip. And Scyther's there to pounce.
Could be a double podium for Alpine. I mean, Cam is...
That is insane.
On Blonde.
I can't think of a time where they ever had a double podium if it was Tier 1. I'm going to double check that myself. Just a moment. First, we got some action we have to cover. The Chiller, Mythic, and Red Fire. Some position swap here for the final positions in this race. And Scyther's under 5/10 for a split second there. Once again. Well,
He's really closing in.
Scyther
Only
has
matter
had
of
some.
time until we'll take the lead.
Scyther has had some wet wins before, though. I mean, you got to go back to Miami in Tier 1. The last that I could think of his, unless you go back to F2. But even then, for F2, I can't remember many of wet races there as well that would suit Scyther in terms of agendas for wet racing. Here he goes, dumping the battery. Is this his time on lap 58 to take the race lead? He has a look. He makes TB think. Yes, TB used the wider line, and it's allowing Scyther to pounce the inside line. Side by side here to turn 2. They almost touch. And Scyther
That was close.
he was close to contact, but is still P2 in this race.
We went 1.7, 1.6 now even.
Alpine seem to really handle these conditions quite well with their two drivers. Wouldn't you say? They call it the
It's
Great
really
Equalizer
close,
for a
yeah.
reason. You know? They call it the Great Equalizer for a reason. I mean, you got points finish in Canada in Tier 2 conditions similar to this. Here we go. For the race lead once again. Scyther can't throw one down the inside just yet. He has to wait.
Shanghai P8.
For Williams. Williams Heritage. Beatnik will be happy about that one. Now, can Scyther pull it off for Alpine, the race lead? He's looking to take. Here we go. Not close enough. Throwing it down the inside. They touch!
Oh!
They've come together! And the race leader has gone around for the second time in this race.
Yeah, that's... I don't know. Questionable.
Yeah, very, very questionable. That's the second collision Scyther will be under investigation for. The fourth this weekend of TB.
I mean, I'll have to see a replay on that, but...
I have to too. I think Scyther went for a late dive, but was he halfway alongside or was he fully alongside? I don't know. Was he entitled to space? What we do know, though, is I think they can catch him back up. Mainly Blonde.
I mean, also, these conditions, you gotta be a little bit careful with each other, because you gotta know how much space you gotta leave your teammates or the person you're racing against, because it's difficult to really find grip now, so
Yeah.
yeah.
We just saw Dragon Dude
It's an argument for both things, to be honest, both sides.
facing the wrong way. Yeah, I agree with you on that. 3.1, they brought it from 3.4 to 3.1, so how can they manage this? How can they manage these three who have a chance for the race win catching the race leader? Blonde made an error there at turn 1, costing him almost a second. I mean, Scyther and TB have had a lot of battles here in RPL. Not just from the championship season of TBs, but so far this season.
I'm Blonde losing.
Yeah, Blonde is losing after that error he made there at turn 1. A very costly one indeed.
So on track, it could still be a 1-2 for Alpine.
It really could be. But TB is really closing in on Scyther. Yellow flags for a Williams around. That is wavy.
He only grumbled.
I'm hoping he retires in the pits if he's going to retire at least. I think he's letting some guys go. Because maybe he is wanting to quit this race. I don't know.
Why is Scyther losing so much time?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Here goes Gecko ducking into the pits. For maybe some new inners. This could be the big talking point because he's on 23 lap inners. Do these guys need new inners to end this race? Can they make it the rest of the way on these dying tires?
Shanghai, it's 7.
Yeah, putting on a good race for Williams. He's on the freshest inters. How about that for a driver of the day performance worthy?
Yeah,
I would give TB some credit, but he's got to get this race lead back in order for me to give him driver of the day. I'm sorry, TB. I have to give it to some of these smaller teams.
From last is still good.
More. Yeah. Let's find out. Gecko, who pitted. Run Valkyrie, who has got damage and has got her front wing missing.
Wavy.
The virtual safety car is out. She had something happen. It's costed her and cost the rest of the field now. That is Wavy off, by the way. Scyther's in. Cam just overtook TB. And TB is in. Cam is in. Blonde side by side with Wavy. Wavy causing some issues. L74G is in. It's still just a VSC, just remember. Wavy is retired in the pit lane. That may cost some people, by the way, in the pit lane because of that. We'll watch out for it.
Blonde in 5 seconds.
So he'll serve that.
Shanghai, P4.
And L74G is going to have this happen for a second time where he's being held up in the pit lane due to a car being out of this race. It's costed Korsman.
Oh.
It's costed Valk. It's cost them so much time under this virtual safety car. This is exactly the point as Dragon gets a drive-through penalty. This is exactly the point. Wavy, I know you're frustrated about getting reported for retiring in the pit lane each time for no apparent reason. But this is the problem for people who feel like they're not in the race anymore, giving up a lap down. Yes, it's not necessarily your fault that the game has had some stupid glitches and does something like that to where it holds people up in the pit lane. But that's why it's penalty worthy, unless you have damage worthy of retiring or giving up. But Gecko and Blonde duking it out. Gecko's going to take the place now. Blonde back down the inside, and they have come together. It's Gecko kicking up some gravel up into the air, and Blonde's going to re-overtake that place. Up in front of that is the main target for P4, Shanghai for Williams. Yes. This is astonishing. 16 lap inners. Not a fast driver in RPL. Never had a podium. I mean, he's doing all he can for a driver of the day worthy performance. Blonde back down the inside. Mustang his way past Gecko. Gecko going to try to switch this back. And the cutback did not work because he slid in the process.
I don't think Blonde or Shanghai can keep. Yeah, I think in the end they'll probably drop down to P7. I mean, they're already 1 second behind him.
Absolutely. Let's find out what happens. Can Scyther get the gap down on Cam? Can TB close in? Can Born in Shanghai, who's not actually born in Shanghai, is Farmo is where, I'm guessing, unless I'm wrong. Can he hang on for P4? Re-overtaking being done behind him. This is going to help him in the battle for P4. Blonde and Gecko are banging wheels. It's Blonde getting out ahead, though. I don't know if he's actually born in Shanghai. I want to ask him that question. His nationality doesn't say he's born in Shanghai, but it's a nice little circuit we'll return to in the F1 Season 10 season. Three abreast in the wet. Down the front straight. Blonde through. They split Shanghai. Gecko on the inside line. Remaining ahead. Getting ahead. Now clear of Blonde. Gecko is clear of Blonde.
P6 in the Williams.
It's still impressive. It might be P7 if Hunted overtakes him, but with L74G's penalty, he's getting track position from what he had. He's just got to make sure that he doesn't get a puncture, because Hunted's the one closest to a puncture. We'll watch him if he has a puncture or not at any point. Tires are degrading. We'll see what happens. But Fire picks off Korsman. Now Red Fire's trying to keep him at bay. Korsman electing to go to the right side. Inside line for Sector 3. Korsman is through. Red Fire concedes.
Interesting.
Blonde and Gecko still could be a big battle here in the late stages. And I really think about this, Zatcy. If Scyther's penalized with those 2 collisions, and let's say both are 5 seconds, if they can get within a 10-second window, this could potentially be Gecko's podium, if not Blonde's.
Yeah, exactly. So they should still all to play for after the race.
A lot of what ifs. You've had 2 spins from the lead, so we can't say Cam's comfortable yet, but yeah. Also, considering the talk of PC recently with drivers switching to PC, it's very nice to see 7 of the 8 drivers in the top 8 covered by Xbox. And L74G gets through and Hunted for 7th place. Hunted losing time on degrading inters. L74G gaining time on that inter tire, but does have a penalty. And it may get appealed with at least one of those 3 seconds. Considering it was right at the pit lane entrance. We'll find out.
Besides, it doesn't really seem to be closing enough on Cam. Sometimes he's closing, sometimes he's not. So on track it will be P2 for Scyther, but I don't know what the stewards will do.
Yeah, I think if Cam does end up winning, his L74G takes 6th place over Shanghai. If he does end up winning, Cam, he deserves credit. I think this race has been very back and forth from the start of it. Quite chaotic. I think it's, and no disrespect to Scyther, Scyther's likely to be penalized. It's more nicer to see Cam win, if that were to be the case on track and whatnot, after Scyther's likely to be penalized. You don't want to see it. I think it's, I hate to disrespect people. I really do. And I really sound like a Scyther hater. I absolutely appreciate the guy. I give him tons of credit. He's done great. He's one of the clean PSR drivers. I have to say, well, I shouldn't say clean because I'm making it sound like PSR is a dirty esports team. I'll say he's one of the cleaner PSR drivers. Fine, I'll make it to where it doesn't sound so bad. But I no bias aside, right? Or all bias aside, excuse me. I meant to say no bias at all. And I'm serious about this because I'd feel the same way myself. I feel like it's much easier to win, you know, on track, even if it was due to track limit penalties. Like a win's a win. Don't get me wrong, but Scyther, if he were to pick off Cam here, he's not going to win the race because he's going to get penalized likely in the stewards office. I mean, I can't say for sure. I could be wrong. Be Good didn't lose the win last week for his collision with Minico in the late stages. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens. As Cam's clearly made a mistake here to get Scyther to close in. The gap was 7 tenths. Now the gap of 1 and 2 is 2 tenths here, Zatcy.
Yeah,
now.
like I said, it's
Right
closing
there.
a lot.
Is it Cam's race to lose?
Go for it.
Here we go. Does he go for it? Does he have the traction? Does he have the space? Cam just cuts him off in the braking zone. Scyther remains behind. It's a cat and mouse game for 1 and 2 again, and the fake TB could gain here if he just doesn't make any mistakes. You saw a mistake made right there, costing him. And now Shanghai losing out once again, back down to P8 where he once was.
Oy. I mean, it was a nice gamble.
It is a nice gamble, and I think he won't get a puncture, but he's going to end up like
Oh,
Hunted
their
losing
side
time.
is
And now
around the inside.
Cam around the outside.
Corner.
He's going to hang on over Scyther for the race lead with just a couple laps in store. He's trying to win for the first time in his RPL career in Zandvoort. He missed out on this opportunity in Tier 1 by just 900ths. Got pole position in that race. His only podium in this league. But the two Americans are just having fun at this battle for the race win.
Yeah, actually, Cam has actually got less eras than Scyther, but Scyther is definitely saving eras.
And that's where Cam is hurting in this battle for the race win. Second week in a row, we're going to see a battle for the race win. And it's nice to see, with that being said. Let's see, has anybody messaged the Formula...
Attendance notification for Zandvoort.
Yes. Yeah, that's Darius in charge of that. That's kind of funny. You know, people think, oh, the race would have been ended by now, but due to wet weather conditions, it's been at least an hour and 40 minutes long. The stream has been 2 hours long. I gotta catch football here soon. I'm glad it comes on. The second half game's in a little bit here. I'll have to end the stream right after the race results are shown. That's how urgent I am to get to that. I like commentating on the weekends. I really do. But you know what? Football is also nice to come back to.
It's still going to be interesting for PA because Red Firetag is really closing in on Haunted.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, Hunted...
Oh,
how's he not going to puncture? He's really on the edge of one, you know? I really have to wonder that. You mentioned it's interesting there, but this is going to be for P8 with Redfire if he can get Hunted in time. But Hunted's just being a blockage, which is what Shanghai needs.
Yeah.
If Shanghai can hang on here, I'm willing to give him driver of the day. Because I would say it's probably his best RPL drive yet. I mean, TB was up 16 places. Scyther's P2 in an Alpine. I mean, I don't think Scyther's going to win. Based on the complexion of this. Because Cam saved up ERS himself. It's just an 11% difference. It's about if Cam makes a mistake. I mean, Scyther has post-race penalties likely coming his way. I can't say for sure. I don't want to determine a winning call based on that. But, you know, for TB, he's a close shout-out. Blonde's been a close shout-out. I mean, there's been some good races today. And even some drivers who've really had a mid-off as well.
I don't think Sider is going to get Cam, to be honest. Doesn't
Penultimate
look like it. He's just hanging on.
Yeah, he has to find a way in this scrap to get through. Force your rival into an error. The battery difference now is about 8%. It's not significant enough to make a difference here on a last lap charge. But if he can make it work, it would be him. Because it's Scyther. He's made a lot of things work here in RPL that have just been absolutely fantastic. We're about to have the final lap be underway for F1 racing in RPL in 2023, let alone RPL racing in 2023. Can he just hang on, Cam? This seems to be his place of magic. But Scyther is not done just yet. He's using that battery, draining it all right here, trying to find some time into the braking zone. The gap is now 0.3. Scyther using more battery.
You'd say.
Here we go. One last time for these two. Who've had a nice scrap this whole race. But it's Cam who's keeping Scyther at bay. If he could just not go wide right there, that's the problem. That's the problem. Mistakes from Cam have put Scyther into this position to be close enough for a race victory. Not close enough for a move. Scyther's using every bit of that battery. Cam waiting to dump the battery. Will he go for it in any of these bits that it's so hard to overtake? He's right on the back of him. It is so close between 1 and 2 for this race victory. Scyther is going to be facing the steward's office. Cam could be facing a first ever RPL race win. One last charge into the final sector. Here we go. Scyther, does he send it?
No.
Does he lunge? No, but Cam locks up. And that's going to allow an opportunistic move for Scyther, but he can't get on the power in time. Cam is going to come around the final corner. He got pole position here in RPL F1 Season 9. He got a podium here, but now he can call himself an RPL race winner to end off 2023. Cam wins in Zandvoort. It's his first ever
Shanghai.
RPL race win. You've got Scyther who came across second, TB who comes from last to P3, Gecko P4, Blonde P5, Luke is going to be P6, Korsman in his home race P7, and now Shanghai has got a train full of cars here. He's holding on for P8 here in Williams. And possibly his best race, as Valkyrie has just taken off Red Fire for points. And possibly his best race, Shanghai, driver of the day, P8. What a drive. Possibly his best race in RPL, he should call it.
Yeah.
6 stops for Shanghai, too. 6 stops for Valkyrie. The Chiller, the final runner, across the line to cap off 2023. Alpine won the first race of 2023 in RPL. They were in contention for the final race in 2023 in RPL. They didn't come off with the win, but they came off with a chance at the end. And that's maybe all you can ask for, is a chance. Cam celebrating his race win on the top step of the podium for the first time. It's an American one too, and there's something about this place that seems to be very special to him in RPL.
An American one too.
I think this is some of the hardest races the drivers have driven. I mean, Scyther just said his hands are numb. Valk just said same. I think some nice stuff right there. Here's your final results. Scyther from P6, TB from P19, Shanghai from P18. I don't know about you, Zatcy. I mean, you're a fellow Williams driver yourself in Tier 2, but I definitely have to give driver of the day to Shanghai. It is well deserved.
Yeah,
6 pit stops, 2 more than the race winner, 1 more than some of the guys in front, and still pulled off a P8. I think his best race yet in this league. And you know what? I am not to be disrespectful, but he is not one of the fastest drivers in this league. He's one of the drivers who you could claim on pure pace is not a Tier 1 driver. And he's a reserve. And he made a reserve appearance here in Formula Endurance that is worthy to show that teams looking for a full-time seat in the future could get him based on a race like today.
Yeah, he's doing good. He's done a good job. Yeah.
I mean, Williams have him in the reserve area for a reason. It's not like they don't have him for no reason at all.
I'd like to
just to show up.
have him alongside me for full-time drive, to be honest.
Yeah, you got Leon currently. You know, so.
And he's also reserve, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how things fare. I'll let him know driver of the day for him.
Yeah.
I'll do that. And then we'll end off the stream just right about
the
after.
The range is a difficult part. It's like, it's not slow, but it's so heavy, it's so difficult.
Well, I would say it's the second to worst car in this game, without a doubt. And in these conditions, he's pulled off a P8. And taking them up the ladder for sure. That's what they needed. They need that confidence as a team. Williams' heritage is always spoken about quite a bit in this league, and the one thing I think about is Beatnik's Vegas race. The P4s from Trout Racer in Williams. There's so many things that click for this team when they don't have the chances. I mean, I'm saying this game cycle specifically, but, today, another good finish from the team. Second time they've been 8th or better this weekend. And I think points in all tiers for Williams. I don't know the last time that's happened. So,
Yeah.
fair play to them.
What's points for Williams?
Yeah, points for Williams in all tiers. You in tier 2.
In all tiers.
Zakaria in tier 1 and Shanghai here.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's not before because this is the the time we actually get Williams into the points in this competition. So definitely first time
Yeah,
that
I mean,
3 Williams cars finish in the points.
yeah, I must say, a race filled with battles, a race filled with just absolute attrition, drivers, some wanting to give up, some not, because we saw what happened to drivers who had issues there. The Chiller had broken side pod damage and still was finishing off this race in P12. He didn't give up. He had unrepairable damage. So, I mean, there's quite a few drivers who deserve credit. The biggest one being Shanghai. Cam winning for the first time. TB putting together a nice drive from 19th to P3. Scyther in an Alpine just being part of the show again. And I'm impressed. Next time we go to Portimao, which seems to be an action-packed race every time we go there for RPL or whatnot. I think that race, if you want to have one memory to cap off RPL specifically, there. I mean, there's many you can go through, but I think the biggest one is probably the craziest safety car restart in RPL history in a wet Tier 1 race in Season 8. I believe it was Season 8. Yeah, it was Season 8. I think. I'll have to double check, but yeah. We go to Portimao next. Should be fun, Zatzy. I hope you join us for more Formula Endurance streams.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It was nice being here.
Yeah, viewers, thank you as well. It was nice seeing you guys tune in and hopping in the chat. A lot of you for this tier compared to the other ones this weekend. Either way, next for Formula Endurance is Portimao. Next is 2024. Our next race in this league is in Japan for Tier 2. That's the next race that will be streamed and the next race you'll see. Well, I'll end off with a famous quote that people like to use in a moment, but just to cap it off before I do so, you have commentator Ryan Searles, co-commentator Zatcy, signing off. And with that, the 2023 season comes to an end. Good night, everybody.